So what's good, TMG fam? Listen, I'm about to start calling like cameras the eye, because they're everywhere and they're always watching, whether it be in the form of a cell phone camera, a Ring doorbell, CCTV, some form of, they're always watching. So instead of calling them cameras these days, I'm just start calling them the eye. The eye. They're catching everything. All right. So we about to check out the next video. She didn't know that the camera was watching her, part 4. All right. Oh, 3. My bad. 3, not 4. Get a little ahead of myself. Matter of fact, I ain't even seen 1 and 2. I just jumped to 3. I always do that. I don't know why. But anyway, if you're new, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Join the fam. Let's check this out.
There are a lot of astounding things around the world, and some of them are so unbelievable that you probably have a hard time believing they're real. It's a good thing we have photos and videos to show you. From amazing animals to astounding technology, here are 15 moments you wouldn't believe if they weren't recorded.
I think I just saw something I wouldn't believe. A snake just clearly just like nose dived off of a roof or something like that.
Number 15. Amazing animals on cam. There are several animals out there that baffle anyone who sees them. Just take a look at these two. Beachgoers were floored when they saw this massive sea turtle emerge from the ocean.
Massive?
Just take a look at the size of this creature.
Bigger than massive.
After sunbathing on the shore, it made its way back to the ocean as several people stood in the distance marveling over the creature. Now you might think that this turtle is incredibly big, but just wait until the end of this clip. From this angle,
what y'all think the turtle's saying? Oh my, don't mind me. I'm just chilling. On my way back out. Something like that.
Perspective comes into play, making the animal larger than it really is. In reality, leatherback turtles can only grow up to 8.9 feet long. It's still an impressive size, but it's not nearly as big as this angle portrays. From a different angle, you'll see that this leatherback isn't as big as a car. Actually, it's only about 5 to 6 feet long. Even so, these guys can grow into magnificent sizes and can weigh from 500 to a staggering 2,000 pounds. But enough about turtles. Let's take a look at this clip.
This is crazy.
You're not seeing things. That's actually a snake up there. I bet that before you saw this clip, you didn't know that snakes are capable of launching themselves around from several feet up in the air and still manage to survive. I mean, it's my first time seeing this too. Apparently, snakes out there can climb trees and other high places. What's more, most skilled climbers are the ones who are considered venomous. So if you see a snake slithering up a tree, you're better off staying a good distance away from it. Before we go on.
See, that's an interesting fact I didn't know. The skillful climbers are the venomous ones. Didn't know that. Oh, I know now.
Like this video, smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell right now.
Number 14. Golden Dragon Performance. Since ancient times, dragon dances have been a part of Chinese festivals. In Chinese culture, dragons symbolize wisdom, power, and wealth. At the beginning of the year, dragon dances are held, as they're also believed to bring good luck. The tradition began in ancient times. Back then, people in ancient China would implore their gods for rain and protection by performing dragon dances. It was also a way to chase away evil and bad spirits. In 2022, about 80 bamboo rafts were sent on the Yulong River in Guangxi, China for the Golden Dragon performance. Needless to say, the sight was incredibly breathtaking. From afar, it's hard to believe that this dragon snaking down the river is actually made of rafts with golden lights. With fireworks in the background, this clip looks like something straight out of a fairy tale. Just imagine how impressive it looked in person. It was probably a sight to behold. This goes to show that
I would definitely pay to watch that.
Beginning of the year holds a great significance to Chinese people. Their creativity is also incredibly commendable. Visitors who were present during this dreamlike spectacle also had the chance to light up a floating lantern and send it floating down the river. It's believed that the practice will make anyone's wish come true. Number 13. Wacky Pets. Let's face it, most of us wouldn't know what to do without our beloved pets. However, there are times when they get into silly shenanigans that are too hard for us to understand. What would happen if you had a dog and a cat together at home? Well, if you ask this dog, he'll probably tell you that living with 2 cats is quite hard. Judging from his reaction, he's not too impressed when his siblings cause trouble and he's left to deal with it.
I was about to say, he looked at it like, are you kidding me? You know they're gonna blame me, right? Like, I hope somebody's recording this, because if not, I'm gonna get blamed for this.
I mean, cats
And
are
the cats ran like, I got you again.
natural troublemakers. That is, if they're not in the mood to be particularly lazy. Just take a look at this cat. First, it's the remote. Second, it's a shot glass. The best part? He's looking straight at his human, as if taunting him. That's pretty gutsy, don't you think? This cat is letting everyone know who's boss inside the house. But they're not just good at breaking things. They're also good at bullying their own kind.
Are you
This cat is
kidding me?
looking at the pool when suddenly his brother decides to push him into the water. Fortunately, the little fellow knew how to get out of the pool. But there are also times when cats are the ones that get bullied. I mean, I can only imagine what this poor kitty felt when its dog companion pushed its head into the snow. Well, that's a sibling relationship in a 6-second video. Number 12.
And then he ran.
Plant newspaper. The Earth is the only planet that can sustain life. For this reason, we're expected to do our best to take care of it. And Japan made an astounding show of giving back to our planet. On average, a 45-foot-tall tree is chopped down to produce around 10,000 sheets of paper. That might sound sustainable if you ignore the fact that around 15 billion trees are cut down annually to satisfy the demand for paper. Now, it doesn't sound too sustainable, does it? And so, Japan found a way to recycle its newspapers. The country introduced green newspaper, and it's as eco-friendly as it sounds. Unlike ordinary newspapers, green ones can be planted after you're done reading their contents. As amazing as this idea sounds, it's not really a new concept. Paper that can be planted isn't news, but Japan is one of the first publishing companies to use this type of paper. It's also quite simple to make. The material is made of recycled paper, water, as well as small flowers or herb seeds. During its launch, the environmentally friendly newspaper was met with positive feedback, generating revenues of about 80 million yen. That's about $700,000. It's hard to believe that plants can grow on paper, but once you see it with your own eyes, it's pretty amazing.
That's
This is definitely a cool way to give back and replenish nature. Number 11.
Wow.
Smallest country in the world. I bet you've never heard of the country of Sealand before, but that's probably because of its size and its incredibly small population of not more than 50 people. There's also the fact that it's an unrecognized micronation. If we didn't have this photo, it'd be pretty hard to believe that such a small place exists.
Like, that brings like a whole new meaning to everybody knows everybody in a small town. And you commit a crime, it should be pretty easy to figure out who did it, right?
This platform, about 12 miles off the coast of England, right in the North Sea, is Sealand. This place is only the size of about 2 tennis courts, raised by 2 hollow concrete towers, about 60 feet above the ocean. This quote-unquote mini-country was founded in 1967 by Patty Roy Bates. Bates declared Sealand as an independent nation after moving onto the platform. The entire place is actually an unused Navy fort. But as small as it is, it's seen some pretty exciting events since its foundation. Bates is a retired British Army general, and he was the self-proclaimed ruler of the country. He dedicated the...
So how do you get like medical assistance, like an ambulance, or is there like grocery store? Like, how does this whole thing work? I'm intrigued though, you got my attention.
Territory to his beloved wife, but their family chose to use the place as their home for years. Before the family moved onto the platform, it was used as an outpost and a defensive tower to protect the Thames. Now you're probably wondering, did Bates legally occupy the place? No. The British authorities tried stopping Bates, but there was little they could do to stop the retired soldier. After all, the man had been deployed since he was 15, mostly on the battlefield. He fought during the Spanish Civil War and saw battles in North Africa, the Middle East, and Italy during the Second World War. As amazing as it sounds, the territory of Sealand is surrounded by controversy to this day. After all, people living on the platform are in a gray area. In fact, when one of its inhabitants offended and assaulted British authorities in the late 1960s, UK officials couldn't do anything about it because Sealand was outside British jurisdiction. Many attempts to demolish Sealand have been carried out over the past few decades. But alas, the small platform remains out there to this day. Bates and his family are still its inhabitants, and they even developed a full-time security system in the area. The Principality of Sealand also has its own souvenirs for people who want to support the small self-proclaimed country in the North Sea. Number 10. Flightless nocturnal parrot. It's quite hard to believe that this animal exists without seeing it. This is the kakapo, a bird that can only be seen in New Zealand. It's the oddest bird alive today. Its name roughly translates to owl-faced soft feather in Latin. And let's be honest, it's awfully accurate. I mean, just take a look at this guy. This bird might have wings, but they don't have the ability to fly. Yeah, I know, it's disappointing. They have incredibly short wings that aren't strong enough to support them in the air. But instead, it's a feature that helps them to balance. But what they lack in their wings, they make up in their legs. These birds are incredibly skilled hikers and climbers. Even without the ability to fly, these birds know how to get by. Just like owls, these guys are nocturnal creatures. During the day, they roost in trees or rest on the ground. Once the sun disappears, they'll wake up and look for fruits to gobble up. These birds can live up to 90 years, but because of the many predators in their habitat, their average life expectancy in the wild is decreasing. What's more, they also have a pretty weird mechanism. You see, instead of a fight or flight response, these birds freeze when they're startled. When one of them senses danger, its natural response is to stop moving and hope that its camouflage will be enough to make it disappear from its predator's eyes.
Hit him with the freeze. I've never been good at that. I can't hold it for too long.
Moreover, kakapos emit a musty, sweet odor. For humans, the smell of these birds is considered nice. It helps them to find each other in the wild. But unfortunately, their predators can also use it to locate them. Unfortunately, the population of these birds is dangerously low. The last recorded population was only 126 in 2012. Many volunteers and conservationists continue to try their best to save these birds from extinction. Number 9. Rock, paper, and scissors. If you can't make a decision, just leave it all to a quick game of rock, paper, scissors. Just take a look at these two. If you can't decide which one of you really deserves to reach that finish line first, it's better just to let Lady Luck break the tie. In this video, you can see these two cyclists maintaining great sportsmanship throughout the entire competition. The loser was also pretty cool about it. Number 8. The only albino gorilla.
Like, what if you found out, like, some of our most important decisions made by, let's say, the president are done in a game of rock, paper, scissors? Oh, could you imagine? Should we handle this threat aggressively, or should we fall back and just let's see what happens? I don't know. Let's battle it out. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Could you imagine that? That's crazy.
About it. Number 8. The only albino gorilla. Gorillas are black in color by nature, but in the past, an albino gorilla actually existed. This is Snowflake. He was an albino gorilla that was brought to a zoo in Barcelona, Spain in the 1960s. One thing that people noticed about the creature was its incredibly white coat. It was uncommon for gorillas, and it was a trait that didn't help the animal survive in the wild. Snowflake was captured by local villagers in Africa's Equatorial Guinea in 1967. He was a young male taken away from his family, and his strange coat was one of the reasons why he was taken in the first place. Instead of being sold to exotic pet collectors, illegal zoos, or circuses, Snowflake was brought to the Barcelona Zoo. There, he became an international star, and people from all around the world marveled at his snow-colored coat. However, this strange trait caused him to say goodbye to his beloved caretakers early. Less than 4 decades after he was brought to the zoo, the albino gorilla died from skin cancer in 2003. It was a tragic death, but Snowflake lived a long and happy life. He fathered several gorillas, and fortunately, none of his young inherited albinism. There's a reason why gorillas aren't naturally white after all. It's because this trait makes them susceptible to skin cancer and other health problems. Snowflake also paved the way for properly taking care of gorillas living in captivity. Today, many of the gorillas that are kept in zoos have a big shelter where they can run, play, and thrive. Number 7.
Wow.
The amazing adventure of Juliankopka. If Julian's photo wasn't captured and released to the rest of the world, many wouldn't have believed that she was still alive. After all, her story is something straight out of a fictional story. It's something that only the main characters with plot armor managed to survive. Julianne was born to German parents in 1954. She was raised in the Peruvian jungle, and so surviving in the wild wasn't exactly new to her. Her father was a famous zoologist, while her mother was a scientist who studied tropical animals. Julianne was initially homeschooled, but at some point she flew to the capital of the country to finish her education. It was in 1971 that Julianne and her mother were involved in a tragic accident. After finishing her studies, Julianne and her mother Maria booked a flight from Lima to Panguana to join her family for the holidays. Because of her Year 12 dance and graduation ceremony, Julianne and her mother were forced to board a turboprop airliner that carried 99 passengers. Julianne's father insisted that the two should find another way to return home, but when Christmas was a few days away, the two booked their tickets. This is despite the fact that out of 170 Electra planes built, 58 experienced malfunctions in mid-air. When they were more than 8,000 feet up in the air, the plane literally fell apart, sending Julianne straight toward the jungle floor. Most people would have died, but despite dropping from an incredibly high altitude, Julianne survived. She managed to identify the sound of animals around her and correctly guessed that she was already in the jungle near Panguana. The valuable knowledge that her parents taught her allowed her to stay calm, despite the incredible pain she was feeling. Julianne knew that the best way to guarantee her survival was to walk along the river. She knew that she would be safe midstream in the piranha-infested waters. She stayed away from unknown fruits in the jungle, and while trekking through the wilderness, she encountered remains from the flight she boarded. 4 days after the incident, she chanced upon the remains of other passengers who were still strapped in their seats. 10 days later, Julianne was still in the middle of the jungle and was ready to give up on life. Her wounds were infected, and she didn't get any proper sleep or meal for more than a week. It was then that she saw a small hut with a can of petrol inside. She used it to disinfect her wounds and spend the night in the shelter. In the morning, local fishermen found her in her pitiful state and saved her. Throughout her perilous journey to safety, Julianne held on to her belief that her mother also survived. Unfortunately, she learned that she was the only one who survived Lanza Flight 508. Later on, it was revealed that the plane Julianne and her mother boarded was made from spare parts from other planes. What's more, the airline...
See? This, number one, this ain't helping me get on a plane, by the way. They were making planes like iPhone makes the new iPhones with parts that have been already used and spare parts and stuff laying around the office, in the building. Are you kidding me? Spare parts to make a plane? And she is lucky, thanks to what was instilled to her as a child, the teachings of her parents, trusting and relying on that, surviving as long as she could, and how her body just fall out of the sky and land and she survived that, bro. She was meant to be here. Like, oh my, and I just can't get over that. Spare parts? Come on, man. Come on, man. Not a plane. That's something you would have never in your mind thought that they would do. That's dangerous.
Airlines decided to send the plane out despite the bad weather. To this day, the mystery behind Julianne's survival remains.
What a story.
Perhaps it was pure luck. Maybe an updraft softened her fall, or the trees decreased her fall's impact. Number 6.
What a story.
Cryptic patterns in the Gobi Desert. If you explore the Gobi Desert on Google Maps, you'll be able to see these strange patterns on the ground. You can see grids of zigzagging white lines on the dark-colored landscape, and it's definitely a sight to see. When it was first discovered, people on the internet were incredibly perplexed. Speculations and theories about the patterns immediately appeared online, from alien messages to a secret government facility. Unfortunately, it didn't take long for the truth to be revealed. It turned out that the patterns were actually used as spy satellite calibration targets. That's pretty cool to know. Number 5. How things are made. Have you ever looked at something and wondered how it was made? Well, you're not alone.
Pyramid?
Thanks to the internet, you don't need to go to insane lengths just to see how things are created. For instance, just take a look at this video showing how train wheels are made. It takes a lot of skill and years of training to perfect this craft. Instead of using a mold, the wheel is created manually from incredibly hot iron. The forging is done by several people with the help of heavy machinery. You can only imagine how skilled these people are. They're literally forging a wheel from scratch. While this process is amazing, iron fence casting is something incredibly satisfying to watch.
Wow.
In this video, hot metal is poured on a mold to create intricate metal frames. It might seem like taking a shortcut, but it's amazing nonetheless. And now, it's time for today's topic. She didn't know that a camera was watching her. This photo was circulated on the internet recently, and many people were quite confused about it. You can see a woman walking the streets, but several people claimed that there's something weird about her face. Some said that she looked like a ghost or a zombie, but others claimed that it's just the effect of the camera. What do you think? Is this woman a ghost? Or did the camera capture the photo at a strange angle? As always, comment down below with the hashtag today's topic and let us know your opinion about what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Number 4. Murmuration of the starlings. This moving black cloud might look like a huge swarm of insects that's about to bring the next plague, but it's actually composed of thousands of birds. This breathtaking phenomena is known as murmuration, and it's incredibly impressive to witness. This mass aerial stunt is performed by thousands of birds swirling and swooping in the sky in great synchronization. To this day, we're still unsure why birds do this in the first place. It might be a way for them to keep themselves safe. Just like schools of fish, birds might find it safer for them to gather in a huge group instead of staying far apart. This might also be a way for them to keep themselves warm as dusk falls. This entire mesmerizing performance might also be a way to
I would go with safety.
Exchange information about good and safe feeding areas. Whatever the reason is, it's incredible to see these birds do this aerial dance. Number 3. Swing of death. We only live once. We only have one life to have fun and do anything we want.
True.
Sometimes it's hard to decide whether we should live by restricting ourselves and keeping ourselves safe or live without regrets. But I guess there's a fine line between being adventurous and reckless. For instance, I'm not quite sure whether it's adventurous or just plain dangerous for someone to try out this swing that's literally on top of a 6,300-foot cliff. Would you be willing to try out this swing of death?
Oh no, that's just crazy. That's crazy.
To be honest, I would never ride this thing, even if I got paid for it. This treacherous swing is located over Sulak Canyon in the Russian Republic of Dagestan.
That's just not the rush that I wake up in the morning and be looking for. That one there? Nah, fam. There's no room for error. Any problems, 9 times out of 10, you're done with. You're done.
Just imagine if one of the chains broke. You would be sent straight to heaven with that drop. There is a small wooden plank down below to cushion your fall in case the swing breaks. But I still wouldn't ever take the risk over something like this. Let me know your thoughts about this swing in the comments down below. Number 2. Strange bird. If you're having a bad day, then this clip will definitely put a smile on your face. This is a video of a young bird who has not gotten a handle on life yet.
Bird, like, get in my mouth.
You can see him trying to hunt for a worm, but he hasn't gotten the hang of it yet. This little baby bird was trying to eat a worm, but instead of pecking it, the bird just sort of assumed that the small creature would automatically jump into its mouth. After all, in the nest, they don't need to do anything to eat besides open their beaks.
Yep.
Unfortunately, in the real world, they need to exert more effort to fill their stomachs with food. This little bird still has a lot to learn. He's a little confused, but he's got the spirit. Number 1.
Like, frustrated, like, why won't he get in my mouth? Get in my belly.
Next level inventions.
What's up?
This is the future.
This is
In this
crazy.
clip, you can see robot dogs moving perfectly in sync together. It might look unnerving to witness at first, but once you think about the possibilities, you'll realize that robots will dominate our future.
I was just about to say they're preparing for domination. That's what it looked like.
I'm not quite sure if that's a good or a bad thing yet.
Right.
These robots might be assisting in farms, houses, and public establishments in the near future. They can be used in security and all sorts of things. After all, once you program them properly, they're pretty great at doing their duties. But I must say that they don't have the same appeal as our canine companions. Robotic dogs aside, this jetpack is definitely among the most astounding tech invented recently. Hiking and trekking are hobbies adored by many, but exploring the wilderness comes with its own risks. Fortunately, in the future, help might come quicker and faster. This jetpack will enable its wearer to fly high up in the air and locate an injured person high up in the mountains. Through this, first aid responders would be able to reach their patients within minutes, no matter how difficult it is to reach their location. I guess we have a lot to look forward to in the future. So which one of these clips intrigued you the most? Let me know about it in the comments.
It's got to be the lady falling out of the plane, surviving the fall, just initially surviving the fall. Just, you got it. I was taken aback by that. Then they hear the plane was put together with spare parts. Then she, despite all of that, she tapped into all of the teachings from her family, survived in the jungle, treated her wounds, and survived until somebody rescued her. That's wow. Wow. Put yourself, could you have done it? I know I couldn't have. I ain't gonna say I couldn't have, but bro, it'd have been tough. It'd have been tough. But think about this, you just learned something, at least a few things from her survival tactics. So keep it in the back of your brain. That's all I can say. Listen, man, y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of this video and stick around and stay tuned. Till next one, I'm gone. Peace.